welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Reactor Core. This is episode 17, and this is a podcast where we get to talk about some of the biggest movie blockbusters and TV shows that are new right now. So we are recording this about midway through February. It is just before Valentine's Day, and we went to go see Harley Quinn.
That's not the name of the movie.
We'll talk about that in just a sec. The original name was Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
That is a really long name. Most people are just talking about it as Birds of Prey.
Yes.
However, as of like 12 hours ago, if not yesterday, Warner Brothers has decided to rename the movie to Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey.
You don't get to do this. You don't get to do this when it's several days old. You made your bed. You're gonna lie in your bed, okay? We all agree.
George Lucas. Han shot first. We all know this. McClunky did not happen. It's ridiculous. But yeah. So we just went to go see that film, and here we are talking about it. About to do a spoiler cast on this film. Let's see. I just pulled up Box Office Mojo, and as of today, it is the 11th when we are recording this. It came out on the 7th. As of right now, it has grossed 35 million domestically, 46.5 million internationally, and 81.6 worldwide. So it is not doing so hot right now.
That's not hot.
That is not hot. That is the lowest grossing DC Comics movie. The one above that is Shazam, which made 55 million. So this one is not doing so hot, and that is why they renamed it.
No, but there's legitimate reasons, Warner Brothers. It's the gosh dang winter. People are inside. You know, there's so many disasters happening around the world. There's disease and fires. That's why people in like other countries aren't going to the movies. It's not the Birds of Prey fault. Just restore the title to what it was.
It's a mix of things. Sure, there are more important things to worry about in the world, but that's, I think, the bone to pick that I have with this movie. So you approached me, a week and a half ago? You were like, hey, I'm gonna go see this.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about discussing it yet. Would you want to? And I was like, yeah, sure. Let's do it. If you hadn't mentioned that to me, I wouldn't have gone to see this at all. Mainly because I was upset that this is not actually a Birds of Prey movie. This is a Harley Quinn movie, first and foremost. There are some of the Birds of Prey, but half of them aren't there. So it's just like, this just seems like Harley is painting the town red. And I was just like, I am not excited. DC does not look like they know what to do. I mean, they've proven multiple times they don't know what to do with their movies. I
think they know what to do individually, like one movie at a time.
With it, like, that's the thing. They got way ahead of themselves, and they were like, we need to make our Avengers soon, fast, right now. We just need to push it out. And it didn't work. And yeah, when they do kind of take the time to be like, okay, we don't really need to tie this into the Avengers or the Justice League or whatever else they need to tie it into. And yes, I know that the Avengers are Marvel. Yeah, I think they can actually make a good film.
Mm-hmm.
The talent is out there.
I really liked Shazam last year. I'm disappointed there aren't more people talking about Shazam. It was very solid.
We covered Shazam this past year. It was let's see here on this podcast. It was episode 7 of this peer podcast on the Reactor core. And yeah, we both really liked it. I know I also liked Wonder Woman when it came out. But yeah, this is an interesting one. Because I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed it.
This is a lot of fun.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And I went into this knowing nothing, which I rarely do. This is why I pitched this to you as, hey, I'm going to go see this movie. Do you want to talk about it? Say, I'm not as much of a DC fan. I respect it. I like it fine, but it doesn't have that same energy to it the way I'm like, oh, I have to go see every new Marvel movie. With the DC movies, it's like, oh, I'd like to, but I still haven't seen I haven't seen Suicide Squad. I haven't seen Aquaman. Like, there's holes in it. And I heard this movie was coming out. I didn't stop and watch a trailer, and a trailer did not happen in front of me. So I really didn't know much about it. And I'm like, well, I'll learn about it when it's time to learn about it, whenever that is. Again, nothing against these movies. I like them fine. It's just, you only got so many minutes in the day. I'll get to it when I get to it. This is my feelings about DC.
Exactly.
And I had a friend ask me, are you interested in seeing Birds of Prey? And I'm like, well, I don't know anything about it. So yes, because I don't remember. Probably not since I was a kid. Since I was a young teen, did I walk into a movie theater knowing pretty much nothing about the movie except for a couple commercials and a poster. I had no idea. Like I said, I haven't seen Suicide Squad. No idea how much it doesn't seem to play in that much. Everything they mentioned about it was stuff that I knew just from hearsay. So doesn't seem to be relevant. So I'm just going to walk in knowing nothing and see what that's like now. I don't even know who else is in this besides Margot Robbie. Let's see what happens.
Exactly. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. My name is Kyle Springer. I will be one of your hosts, and that is Melissa.
Do we not do this?
No, we've at least not said who we are.
Okay, well, yes.
So I'm Kyle. That's Melissa. Yes. We are the Whatnauts. We are here talking about Birds of Prey. So yeah. Now that you've walked out of the film, having known nothing at the start, what did you think? What were your more general thoughts? Because we'll get into spoilers in a bit here.
It is a lot of fun. It's certainly got its dark moments, which I think are perhaps darker than your average comic book movie, but I don't know, kind of about what I would have imagined, knowing the kind of darker area that this does come from. This seems right, I guess. Oh, visually stunning. When it's fun, it's really fun. It's a delight to watch, just on a technical level. And it's plotted much better than I thought it would be too. Not to put this movie down, but I thought oh, this is going to be a movie that's a lot of very well done style and maybe just a fairly bare bones plot to sort of support that style and all these different big shiny characters coming together. No, it's pretty well put together.
Yeah, it's a hell of a lot of fun the entire way through. I never felt like it dragged its feet.
No,
maybe in one or two spots. But not for an extended amount of time where it's oh, the whole second act, this is just terrible. No. And I think the way it kind of avoids that is it tells a lot of the things out of order or as you need to know them. It's okay, we're about to meet this one character. Let's tell her backstory now. Let's do it that way. And so I think that kind of keeps the film jumping around, and it's enough where it's it's not enough where it's all right, this is too much and I'm lost and confused, but it's enough where it's just this is a nice pace.
Yes,
it's good.
Yeah, it doesn't leave anything out immediately that you're very confused by. It's like, oh, I know I'm going to get more on that if I wait 10 minutes.
Right. I thought the fight scenes were fantastic. They were incredibly well done and well shot. Like you said, it's just dripping with style and personality. One of the things I particularly loved with the fight scenes is that Harley Quinn did a lot of stuff that I would imagine her doing in the cartoons or the comics or stuff like that, where she is like doing these aerial flips and jumping around. Whereas, she was in Suicide Squad. She didn't really do that. She just was like normal. And was just like, okay.
Everyone was kind of fighting on the same level in that movie. I haven't seen it. I'm going to watch this next.
Bad movie.
I'm going to watch it next week.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, don't you dare do this to me, Kyle. You know me. I have never been hurt by a bad movie, and I never will be hurt by a bad movie. I have never lost a dang thing in my life.
Bad movies will never hurt me. It's this is a huge step up from that film, though. I will mention that. I had a lot of fun. Please go see this film. I think this is currently DC's best film. Just all around, I think they treated their characters overall really well. I have some issues with certain things, but it's more of an X-Men first class kind of moment for me, and I'll explain what that means. What that means in a bit. But yeah, it was good. I had a lot of fun. So thank you for being like, hey, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, it's a movie I'm glad I went out and did an experiment. I'm glad I saw it in a movie theater.
Yeah. It's a fun one for sure. Okay, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. And then we can get into spoilers and start breaking down the film. Stuff like that. So if you guys did not know, we have multiple podcasts here at the Whatnauts. You guys can go check out our website, thewhatnauts.com, for more information, as well as your podcasting platform of choice. Just type in the Whatnauts and all of our shows will pop up right there. If you like what we do, patreon.com/thewhatnauts is where you can support us for as little as $1 a month. You guys can get episodes early. You guys can get access to live streams of certain shows. At the $3 tier, you guys can get exclusive content. We just did a fantasy movie draft kind of thing, where we made our own cinematic universe. That was a lot of fun. So be sure to go check that stuff out. And we also want to give a big shout out to our Patreon supporters at the $5 tier. So thank you, Sam, and thank you, Christine, for helping us out a ton. We appreciate you both.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get into spoilers here. We are moving right along. Cool. So, X-Men First Class. What did I mean by that? I really enjoyed X-Men First Class. But boy, that was not X-Men's First Class. Those are not the characters who were in the first class. And it's kind of the same for this film. Like I said, this isn't really a Birds of Prey movie. Some of them are in there. Most of them are. But this is not what I think of when I think of the Birds of Prey. For those of you who don't know, the Birds of Prey are a all-female superhero team in the DC Comics universe. And they were formed by Oracle and Black Canary. And it was originally just them. It was only them, and then they eventually kind of expanded the team to this rotating roster. But one person who is not there and is never on the team is Harley Quinn. So it was just like that's one of those things where it's just like, okay, one of the founding members isn't there. Harley Quinn, who's not a member of the team, is now the star player. Like, this seems strange. I don't know
to be
what
fair,
they're doing with this.
She isn't in the team at the end. At the end of the movie, she's talking about the birds of prey, not including herself.
They go on and do their own thing.
Yeah, she's just like an auxiliary ally.
Which also kind of irked me, because they didn't team up until the final act of the film. And then after that big whole scene, we get the thing of like, well, then those three went on to be the birds of prey. Like, so okay, so I guess this wasn't birds of prey then, really? This was just you guys happened to team up, which is, again, if you're calling it birds of prey, like, what are you guys doing? Which is why I had always thought this needs to be named Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey or something along those lines. And that's basically what they did. They were like, I think we screwed this up because a lot of people know more about Harley than they do Birds of Prey, since they're a relatively minor team. So it's confusing. But again, I loved it.
Now, here's my question. Yes. I don't know anything about the comic book characters.
Sure.
I remember being like 12 years old and watching some of that Birds of Prey WB series.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember that had Oracle in it, and I remember that had like the main lady was like supposedly Batman and Catwoman's daughter.
Yes.
There pretty much ends everything I remember about Birds of Prey. I remember what the poster looks like, but that's not helpful.
Okay. We'll get into some of that here. So I guess what we normally do on the Reactor Core is we kind of go through the plot and do all of that stuff. Do you want to start with that and then go into the like who these characters are as we discuss them? Or do you want me to like give you some background stuff before we start all of that?
Following the plot of this movie sounds exhausting.
Okay.
It's not excessively complicated, but it jumps around so much. I feel like if we tried to do it, we would spend a lot of unnecessary time going, wait, but then this happened. Which is what the movie does, and we're not going to do it as well as the movie did, so why bother?
So I have a page of notes here.
Okay.
That kind of boils it down. I don't follow the plot exactly. But I do have it kind of sectioned out of like, here's one thing that happens, and then they introduce this character. Let's talk about this character for a bit. So maybe we just go one by one and start to introduce and talk about the characters and how that's relevant to the plot. Should we do it that way? So let's start with Harley. This film opened up with like an animated introduction to her and to this film,
which I liked.
What do you think of that?
No, I thought that was perfect.
Yeah,
because it's just a cute, well-designed, very expressive opening. But also, I like that it works as this homage you don't get until like 3 hours later. That's because she originated in Batman the Animated Series. That's where she comes from. She was not in comic books before that. So it makes sense that her movie would start as a cartoon.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you mentioned, she got started in the cartoon, which is a favorite of mine. I have all of the DVDs on my bookshelf and all of that stuff. But she became so immensely popular that they eventually brought her into the comics, stuff like that. But the whole kind of crux of this film revolves around Harley having just broken up with the Joker. She's single, ready to mingle, and cause some trouble. That's basically that is the elevator pitch of this film. She is newly single, having some fun, and she teams up with some gal pals.
And I like the element that I feel like in any other movie you would expect to see something like, I have broken up with my boyfriend. Here I stand on my own. I have broken up with my boyfriend. Now he's here to get revenge, or somebody close to him is here to get revenge. I like this
now
twist on it where it's like
guy in my film, and we have
Yeah, no, he's not in this. I like the element of we would go out and cause all this mischief together, and I would go cause mischief separately, and nobody would mess with me because I was like, oh, I was Joker's girl. I was always under his protection, sort of. Now they have no worries about that because the Joker doesn't care what happens to me. So now suddenly all these people never worrying about for the last handful of years, I'm on all of their hit lists.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing about her character is because that's one of the things that is so iconic with her, but at the same time, it's also one of the things that was most problematic about her character, where it's like she is in this very abusive relationship and everyone knows it, and she just has this like Stockholm syndrome. Like she fell in love with her patient, this like psychotic killer, and she just had like tunnel vision for him for the longest time, and yeah, eventually in the comics they started to get away from all of that stuff, and now here we are in the films. They're following that same thing. To mention Suicide Squad again, I like to refer to that film as Hot Topic the movie.
Sure.
And that film was perfect for like selling T-shirts and Funko Pops and all of that stuff to young teenage girls. The problem is that a lot of them were idolizing that relationship, and it's just like, ooh, yeah, no. Well, I don't
know if that's always it. I think
it's not always.
I think some of it is like, this is the bad variant of it. I can create any variant of this I want. I want to make a version where this does work.
Yeah, and that's possible, but traditionally speaking, that's not how it's been in the cartoon. That's not how it's been in the comics. Like they're making their
own version then.
Yeah, no, it's possible that. So are you saying it's possible that there could be a version of them where they are in a good relationship?
I certainly wouldn't put it past someone to try. I don't think it's completely out of the question for anybody to make that change in any story or in like their own life, like in my fan fiction, this happens. When me and my boyfriend go out dressed like them for Halloween, this is the variant of the story that we're telling.
So that's fan fiction, and that's not to put down fan fiction, but that's not the like official products that DC is putting out. And for the longest time in those official stories of like, these are the ones that are canon, for the longest time, it was this abusive relationship. Sure, there might be some Elseworlds story out there where it's not, but that is the thing, and like that's not something you really want to teach young children to idolize or think that is okay. And so once people started realizing that and being like, hey, that's actually maybe not the best thing to do, then they were like, yeah, actually, you're kind of right. Maybe we should change the narrative here and like start getting her out on her own. So to see her do that in this film, fantastic. I thought it was great. So she's at the club, getting drunk, having all sorts of fun. And like the first thing that doesn't necessarily seem plot relevant, but the first thing that she does is break the legs of this one douchebag who's at the club. And at first we don't know who that is, but that comes into play down the road. That turns out that is Roman Sionis's driver. And Roman Sionis, if you're familiar with the comics or if you played the video game Batman Arkham Origin, you might know him as Black Mask. And he's just kind of this like rich villain dude with a black mask. That's about it.
City's full of them.
Yeah. It's not all. He's not all that. I guess unique. Like I like the look of him, right? But it's like that's it. He has a black mask. And so he is named Black Mask.
But that's true of so many characters. Like, you could call Batman that. That's the most generalized version of who Batman is. But that is also true.
Yeah. That's comics in a nutshell. I was bit by a spider. Oh, man. I am Spider-Man. So yeah, what did you think of Black Mask?
This was a delight to watch Ewan McGregor play. Like,
yeah, he did fantastic.
I like this additional factor that he's not just like creepy rich guy. He's also this like petulant, bratty child.
Oh,
he's always whining.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's still creepo, but he's like a variant of the creepo that was fun to watch him play around with and just like roll around the screen like, my club, my masks, I want my diamond.
He seems like the kind of person that like is trying to be this like big, important, mature businessman type of thing. But somewhere along the line, something went wrong, and he just hasn't matured to there yet, and so he is this like whiny, bratty child, just throwing fits when things don't go his way, and he has anger issues, which is kind of what we see at the end of the film when that stuff comes out, and he finally dons his black mask. So let's see. Next, I want to talk about Renee Montoya.
Yeah.
Because she kind of comes into play kind of that next day or so as Harley Quinn is working on her hangover, trying to get some food, and she had broken this guy's legs not too long before, and now some people are after her. So here comes Renee Montoya, detective at the GCPD, and she is after Harley Quinn. What do you think of Renee?
I had heard her name before, so that's where I was coming to this with. For each of these people, I will tell you, I had heard their name before.
I'm assuming I'm the one that mentioned her name. So Renee is one of my favorite characters in the DC universe. She, funny enough, was also originally intended to be created for the Batman animated series. But before she made her debut, they snuck her into the comics. So she actually made her debut in the comics. And then she made her live action debut in the Gotham TV show. She's in there, but in the comics, she's a hardworking detective. Eventually, she's outed as a lesbian, and she quits the JCPD, thinking that they're too corrupt. She ends up becoming a character known as the Question. She's not the first person to be that, but she takes up the mantle. If
is
you've
this
seen
the guy
from
this is the faceless guy from the Justice League cartoons? Okay.
Yep,
Does she also lose her face? Is that a requirement? Well, where does your face go?
It's a like a faceless mask, so to speak.
Okay.
It's not that it's
like I can't.
Oh my god, I don't have no face.
Because I'm watching that cartoon's not that detailed. I can't tell he is wearing a mask that looks like he has no face. As far as I know, he just doesn't have one.
In the cartoon, they might have just been like, you know what? It'd probably be easier if you just make it look like he just has no face, right? Like they don't have to make it look like it's, some fabric or something. They're just like, no face.
I thought like an alien took it or he fell in a vat or something. Your classic.
Someone with a giant eraser. Just.
I don't know.
But the Question is a private investigator in the DC universe who is super into conspiracy theories and stuff. So he's like, the like metal tips on the ends of your shoelaces. He's like, I know the real name for those things, and I know their real purpose too. And he's just like, they're just like, oh my god, shut up, like no one cares. But Renee Montoya ends up taking that mantle, and I really like that character in the comics. She's fantastic. If you want to know more about her, go read Gotham Central.
Yeah, this has been recommended to me in the past.
Good book. But this version of Renee Montoya, they do something a little bit differently, and her whole thing is that she has that like 80s police detective vibe, and that's how she talks, that's how her accent is. Just this like straight from New York police detective, and like everyone just makes fun of her for it. It's kind of great. Just like, does she think this is a movie? Like so I ended up liking that. I thought that was a good character trait for her, to give her some kind of personality without really going into much of her like history in the comics. Like this is like, you don't need to know all this backstory to know that she is a police detective and she's good at it, right? That was it.
Yeah, I liked her. I liked how unflappable and how absolutely focused on the goal she was. Like I think Harley or somebody's trying to get her off the trail, like, push her away, and she gets a garbage bag thrown at her towards the beginning of the movie. So she walks back to the station, and she's like she doesn't
after she gets all the.
See, this is the thing. So she doesn't go home. She's like, I have to go back to the station. She's like, I guess I'll find new clothes here. Do we have clothes in the lost and found? And so she's wearing this like novelty T-shirt that says, I shaved my balls for this. But she doesn't say anything about it. That is a joke for the audience only. It's not like you see her pick up the shirt from the box and she's like, oh, I have to do this. It's like, no, this is continuing like normal. She has a job to do. She's not thinking about what she's wearing at all remotely. She doesn't seem embarrassed by it. She's like, look, I'm just here to do my job. I need you to listen to me. I'm a cop. I know what I'm talking about.
Take me seriously. God damn it. Yeah. No, the only mention that they make of it is the captain, who used to be her former partner. It just says like, we have a dress code.
Yeah,
and that's it. It's good. I liked that. I will say, I was kind of expecting this movie to be a lot funnier than it was. I think there were maybe only 2 or 3 laugh out loud moments.
I will say I don't think it's trying to be funny and failing.
Yeah.
I think it is just going less often for like, here is joke. Here is capital J joke now.
You know Joker, get ready for joke.
It's joke.
Yeah, like it's not necessarily going for comedy, which I was expecting this to do more of. So I thought that was interesting. But she is investigating a series of murders in which the perpetrator used a crossbow. So they have dubbed this murderer the crossbow killer. They have no idea who it is at first, but we come to find out that this is Helena Bertinelli, aka Huntress. She is the daughter of a mafia family. They are pretty rich. We'll get more into their riches in a bit here, but this is probably where your knowledge comes in. You mentioned you had seen that old Birds of Prey TV show.
Was that her?
That was Huntress. Yeah.
See, I don't even remember that lady's name. I just remember the pose she's doing on the poster and like what her hair looked like.
Well, all right. So originally, so that TV show kind of like mix mashes a couple different continuities from the comics into one thing of like, what if this, and that were all in one thing? The original Huntress is the daughter of Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle of Batman and Catwoman. And so her name was Helena Wayne. And
this sounds familiar, yes.
Later on, once DC Comics kind of separated out, it's like, oh, we actually have a multiverse and all of that stuff, and all of the Golden Age comics are on this Earth. The one that's now in main continuity is Helena Bertinelli, and she is this mafia family daughter. Her family all gets gunned down. She is the only survivor, and she kind of follows a path similar to Batman, where she goes and trains for a long, long time, and then comes back to Gotham to get revenge. And she's kind of after Black Mask's people. I think more specifically, she's after Victor Zsasz, which is Black Mask's right-hand man. And from the comics, he's more of a psychotic serial killer who gives himself a scar every time he murders someone. So, what was your thoughts on Helena Bertinelli?
I think she ended up being my favorite one.
She was great. I think,
like.
Go ahead.
No, I like what they do with her narratively, and that she's got such a specific personal mission that she's kind of on like the outside edges of the main plot for a while. Like all this stuff is happening around her, and she gets pulled into it at the end, but like, she still doesn't know all the details. Like she's just getting caught up with this now. Yeah, I liked that element of it.
The first time she's really in the room with pretty much any of those characters is in the third act. And she's like, she comes in and she just goes like, well, I killed the guy I needed to kill, so I'm gonna go.
Like, I'll help you guys out. It looks like you need help, so like, I'll stick around. I liked that narrative role she played. I also liked seeing that, oh yeah, if your whole family is murdered in front of you when you're like 10 years old, and then you're sent away to this like tucked away Italian villa to learn like the hunting and fighting skills for the next 20 years, and then you come back on a vengeance mission, you don't have great socialization skills. Like she's really awkward the whole time. And like, a way I really appreciated. I'm like, this seems like what you would be. Yeah, I loved that she was not cool.
Yeah, well, I thought she was cool, but yeah,
Well, I
like
mean,
she's not
cool to
like
us in the audience, but she's great at fighting, but she has like no.
she's just socially
grace.
awkward.
Yes.
Like we get that great sequence of her or of I forget his name. What's his name? Pops? No, that's not his name. Who is the owner of the Chinese food restaurant? What was his name?
Doc.
Yeah. I knew it was some like one syllable
a
fatherly
title
figure
instead
thing.
of a name. Yeah.
And he's just like, "Who are you?" And she's like, "They call me the." And it stops, and it's like, let's go into her backstory, and then we do all of that, and then we get this scene of her like practicing in her hotel mirror, where she's just like, "They call me the Huntress. They call me the Huntress. They call me the Huntress." Like, it's just like, no, that's not it.
I love that in this world of people that are like, Renee Montoya is doing all of the cool 80s cop things, and she is a cool cop. Like, she lives up to everything she's trying to be. And then Helena like knows the things she's supposed to do, but she can't pull them off. She's very good at fighting and looking imposing, but like as soon as she opens her mouth, like it doesn't work.
Yeah, and she has the like sweet 80s like jump track suit kind of workout suit things. And
this is like the most windbreakers I've seen in one movie.
Yeah, her style is fantastic, and that's kind of based off of some of her her outfits in the comics in like the late 80s, early 90s, where that's how everyone they were like, oh yeah, tracksuits, windbreakers. That's what people
wind's
need.
Not gonna stand a chance.
Forget a bulletproof vest. You need a windbreaker. So that's who the crossbow killer is. But
I also like that she was. I also like that she was very tall.
Yeah.
Just super tall. Like, this is something that Charlie's Angels movie had too, which I haven't seen yet. It looks neat. I like that, like, one of the girls was just way taller than the other two girls.
Yeah. It's she had a fun character. On one hand, like, I wish there was more of her.
Yeah, but I think like this is the perfect
joke of just like, like she is socially awkward. She might have some anger issues in there. She's like, I do not have rage issues. To make that work, she had to be on the outskirts, like you had said.
I think that was a very smart move to have these 5 main characters, but there's one that isn't as prevalent as everybody else, but like for very specific reasons. Like they really did the most with that.
Yeah. Let's talk about Dinah Lance next. Dinah Lance is a singer at Black Mask's bar, and she gets hired to be the new driver for him after Harley Quinn breaks that one dude's legs at the start of the film, because he was his old driver. Dinah Lance is also known as Black Canary.
Yes.
She is also a famous comic book character. She is usually known as one of the like better fighters within the DC universe. Like she's a good martial artist.
Nice
and then,
to know.
A lot of the comics she does, she has like a punk band or a rock band or something. So to see her in this role where she has this like jazz singing gig, not far off. It fit really perfectly. So I liked that a lot. How did Dinah stack up for you in comparison to these other characters? Did you like her? Was she more just kind of middle of the pack?
No, I did like her, but she's in a darker area of the story, and she's a more serious character. So as much as I did like her, I wish she would get to have more of the brighter, funner moments like the other characters get.
Yeah. One thing we learn about her character is that her mom was actually the original Black Canary. So technically, this Dinah isn't the Black Canary, at least yet. But we know that she has the same powers. Renee Montoya knew her mom and was like, hey, your mom was a good person. And she was like, and I know you have the same powers she did, which comes into play at the end of the film when she does her canary cry, which was neat. And I think they used it in a way that I don't think I've ever seen it used before.
Really?
Because usually it's used kind of as a weapon, like a force to like hit someone with and like knock people back. But they use this to like propel Harley, like to like have she's on her skates, and this like made her go a little bit faster. And like it makes sense that would work if it can knock people back. If you can like keep your baby balance and all that stuff, it could work. I just don't think I've practically seen it used like that. But that was neat.
Yeah,
I liked that a lot. I liked her character. I think this version of the character did really well. I would kind of like to know more. Like she's an interesting character. I think if nothing else, just for like how kind of dark and brooding she is. Just like there's more to her.
Right? Yeah, like she's got a lot of interesting skills. You're wondering how she wound up as the singer for this club where it seems like nobody appreciates her. Nobody appreciates anyone. I don't know why anybody's going to the Black Mask Club. Like, it didn't even seem like they had good food. I liked her outfits a lot because you've got Harley with her the big, bright, cartoony clothes, and it's always some variant of that. And you've got Cassandra, who's wearing like similar clothes a lot of like, sort of big baggy t-shirts and shorts and like windbreakers and things, but it really fit into like what like streetwear is right now. Yeah. I like that Dinah had repeatedly like the same consistent style that is not anybody's style right now. Like it's very specifically her thing, and it's not this big lavish cartoonish thing like Harley has. It's like like a very understandable, like, oh, any kid wears that thing like Cassandra. It's like, why are you wearing flared jeans and like a very tight vest? Nobody's doing this, but you are, and you're doing it every day, I see. Yeah.
So in the comics, her more traditional costume. Oh,
I know what it is.
Fishnets.
I don't know that much, but I know what Black Canary wears. That's in like the top 3 greatest comic book outfits, next to like Jubilee's big yellow coat.
There you go. Yeah. And for those of you who might not know, she is also usually the love interest of Green Arrow. Mm-hmm. Black Canary and Green Arrow. We have Black Mask, Green Arrow, Batman.
Okay. I was in a literature class in college. Mm-hmm. And we were covering the modernist era of literature, which is like right around and like just after like World War I. So it's dealing with a lot of these of like soldiers returning home and like learning to try and adjust back to everyday life. Like that's a lot of the themes that this period is dealing with. And our professor's like outlining this one poem and talking about how it is about this man who like can't relate to his wife anymore. And she's like, yeah, it is really hard for somebody who's like this great warrior to like fall in love. And then some girl's like, well, I don't know about that. And then the professor's like, okay, name me like a a pair of great warrior lovers. I don't know exactly what the lead up was. Somehow this became the question of like warriors and soldiers. No, you know what it was? It was who were warriors that could carry on a long-term committed strong relationship. It was that a possibility? Is that something that could happen? And she's thinking in terms of like this modernist literature where this is a new issue they're dealing with. And this girl's answer was, well, what about Green Arrow and Black Canary?
Yes. Great answer.
So whenever anybody mentions them, this is all I think about is this one girl trying to bring in DC Comics canon, like long expanded DC
it's
Comics
modern
canon.
Literature. I wrote papers in college on the effects of postmodernism on comics and stuff. You could absolutely count it as literature.
Yes.
But yeah, that's funny. That is great. Okay, so let's see. We're right here. So Renee Montoya wants Dinah to keep tabs on Black Mask for her because she kind of had a deal with the previous driver, and so she's like, hey, you can maybe give me some tips every now and then.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic. She's not sure that's a good idea, but then we also know that in the same apartment building as Dinah is this young pickpocket named Cassie Kane. Cassandra Kane. Do you know who she is?
Not as much. Like her name came up and I'm like, I know that name, and I know there's an alter ego to that name, but I couldn't remember what that one was, and it didn't come up in the movie.
Yeah, they don't mention any other names. They don't hint at who she actually is in the comics besides her name being Cassie Kane. She is one of the girls who became Batgirl.
Okay.
She also went by the name Black Bat, and more recently, she goes by the name Orphan.
Okay.
In the comics there, which is, let's just be honest, is probably a really terrible name.
Yeah, how are they going to distinguish you from anybody else? Oh, you mean like most of them?
Hey, Orphan. And then Batman responds.
Batman, Superman.
It's like, yes. It's terrible. But she is this like young kid. She seems to be like a stoop child, latchkey kid.
Stoop kid's afraid to leave his stoop.
Right? Yeah. Fly, Batgirl, fly. But she is a really skilled pickpocket. And poor Cassie Kane ends up pickpocketing Victor Zsasz and stealing a certain diamond. Now, we've mentioned this diamond before because this diamond, like, somehow... I don't understand how this works. It's not important to understand how it works.
I wish this would have come up later. I wanted to see them explain how the heck this happened.
So somehow, like, etched onto, like, the molecular structure of this diamond or something like that is the, like, passwords and bank account information or something like that for the Bertinelli fortune. So... Black Mask, who we learn through the course of the film, is kind of the one who pulled some of the strings and orchestrated all of the stuff that got the Bertinelli family killed. So he knows about this dead diamond, and he wants it. And Cassie Kane is the one that ends up pickpocketing it from Victor Zsasz, which then... The cops pick up Cassie Kane, which brings her to the police precinct, which we see her in the precinct at the start of the film, but we don't see her pickpocketing this thing until like halfway in the film. Like, there's some weird timey-wimey stuff of like, we'll tell you this first, then that. oh yeah, and then we need to go back and tell you this thing, and then we'll fast forward to that thing and stuff like that. But long story short, as Dinah is now the new driver for Black Mask, they find out that this kid has stolen the diamond, and that the cops have picked up this kid. Dinah tries to warn Renee, to be like, hey, Black Mask is sending someone to go pick up this diamond. It's probably not going to be good. That person happens to be Harley Quinn. She ends up getting captured by Black Mask, and she's like, wait, don't kill me. I can help you get this diamond back.
Yeah.
And then they're like, all right, fine, we'll let you go get this thing. And that's when we get, I think, like, the first major fight scene.
Yeah, the one in the precinct.
Yeah. That was like, that's one thing about this film that I think they have in spades. It's just color and style. Like, this is the way this film was made, and it's just so good.
I really admire a film that can give you a series of like very clearly distinguished set pieces and sequences without feeling choppy.
Right. Yeah. Or like shoehorned in, where it's like, okay, of course they had to do the scene at this location. Here it is.
Yeah.
But because they're kind of telling things out of order, we don't necessarily see that coming until it happens. And then when it happens, it's like, this is really neat, because Harley walks in with this shotgun that is shooting these like beanbag rounds and smoke rounds, and it's like red smoke and blue smoke, and she has confetti and all of this stuff. It's stuff that you would see something like her character do, which I liked a lot. This was not just a like, we have a gun, we are shooting said gun. It is just a plain old boring gun. It is
I like
smoke and confetti and stuff.
I like the really inventive weapons that she comes up with.
Yeah, that's good. And then we get like the one and only Easter egg in the film in this scene. There's not many Easter eggs in this film, which on one hand, I think helped the film, because they only reference things that has happened in past continuity once or twice, and they say it in a way that it's like, here's the one thing you need to know. That's it. You don't need to know anything else. So there's the one Easter egg of the wanted poster, and she's like, oh, I know that guy, and it's Captain Boomerang from Suicide Squad. So that was like a weird scene. I was in the theater and couldn't see who it was.
Yeah, I couldn't either.
I didn't know. I had to look that up.
I think it also works as just a general purpose joke, no matter who is listed on there.
Sure, that makes sense. But on one hand, I'm also kind of disappointed there weren't more Easter eggs,
because there is plenty of room to like slip them in innocuously in places where they don't really take up a lot of space or time. Like, this is a very lush movie. They're in the middle of all these, packed cities. Like, you can put a lot of signs and passersby in there. Yeah.
There just mentions someone else's name or stuff like that. That would be fun. But I think overall it helped this film just be its own thing, right? Like, we don't need to worry about anything else. Let's just be our own thing, which I think helped it a lot.
Yeah.
So let's see. Harley breaks Cassie out of her holding cell, but she can't get the diamond because Cassie ate it. She swallowed it.
Perfect. Love this.
They don't mention how old she is exactly. I'm gonna assume she's like 13, 14. Like, she seems super young.
Maybe 16 at the most. Yeah.
So, but she's just like she knows something bad is about to happen, so she just goes gulp, and she just
like it makes a lot of sense, and it turns the story into something. Oh, I like that. I like that there is no simple option of, well, I took it off you, or, well, I can talk you out of it. Like, it's a time game. It's only a time game. Yeah.
So they buy a bunch of X-lax and stuff like that, because she's like, we can come out this way. And she has some X-lax, and she's like, or it can come out this way. She has a knife, and she's like, I'll take the X-lax. So it's good. So they are chilling at Harley's apartment. They're kind of bonding for a sec there. That's a nice moment. And then Harley's apartment is attacked, and this is kind of where things go south and go from like, maybe this is kind of the end of the second act to arguably the start of the third act, where Doc moves out because he's just like, hey, too many people are after you. They're offering me too much money. I'm sorry, but like, that was a lot of money. I kind of need to take that. So at this point, Harley is kind of fed up with people coming after her, so she tries to make a deal with Black Mask, who is then like, yeah, let's meet, and I'll get the girl that has the diamond inside her, and then we'll stop coming after you because you haven't reported back here yet. So they do that, and they decide to do the exchange at the abandoned amusement park.
Yes.
Talk about it.
Classic. Very happy to see an abandoned amusement park in this. And then also, separately, later they go to a pier. And I feel like a lot of stories would combine those into amusement park on a pier. Here they are, two separate, distinct set pieces that we get to enjoy. We get two for the price of one here, and I really appreciate the value.
Yeah, for sure. And the ride that they go to is called the Booby Trap, which is... What
an interesting ride itself. It is like this, like... 70s, 80s Scream Queen slasher victim themed fun house. Like, it's like that and like the Liechtenstein aesthetic. It's just like big haired women like wailing and screaming. Like that's the theme of this fun house.
It is great. So of course, Harley and Cassie are on their way to the amusement park. Black Mask sends Victor to go out there, so it's Victor and Dinah to go make the exchange. And Dinah then warns Renee Montoya, so Renee Montoya is on her way. Of course, Victor Zsasz is Huntress's next target, so she's still chasing and following him, so they're all converging on this one spot.
I just want to take a second and appreciate Victor Zsasz as a henchman in this movie.
Yeah.
I liked him. Like, I feel like he does more than a character in that role would typically do. He's definitely creepy, but he's always changing exactly what kind of creepy he is. Like, you feel like you've got this guy's number at the beginning of the movie, and then it's like, oh no, you're weird in a different way. Okay.
Yeah. And then like that's an interesting way to put it.
Like, I like
just
that he wasn't
from
like
moment
this,
to moment, he's
this
different.
Yeah, or like there's the Bond henchman that's like, well, I've got one gimmick or I've got one trait and I do this thing. And Zsasz is more, I don't know, he's more of a mosaic. He's more of a chameleon. I just wasn't expecting that. I was expecting just like, here I am. I'm the second hand. I'm the second in command. I'm mean. I'm here to fight. I don't like people. I don't know. Like there's a lot more to him. He's not a good guy, but I was always watching him like, oh, what are you going to do next? Because you keep surprising me.
In the comics, he's one of those Batman villains that, like, he'll show up every now and then, like, oh, Victor Zsasz is out of Arkham, and he's already killed 3 people and he's holding 5 more hostage. Let's go see what this is about. And that's like either in the middle of some story of like, God damn it, I was chasing Mr. Freeze and now I have to go deal with Victor Zsasz. Like, God damn it. Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, he's definitely not like a super villain, but he is like this consistent bad giga guy within Gotham there. And I think this version of him was very good. I think he's also one of the characters that I would like to see more of. Unfortunately, that won't happen because he dies because Huntress gets there and shoots him, and then they all start stabbing him with the thing.
Of course, yeah. That was something I really liked about this movie. For as many like seedy characters as it has, like all these performances are really neat to watch. Like you just want to see like, oh, I'm not going to like what you do, but I am going to like seeing how you do it.
Right? Or I think like looking at how this is basically an ensemble film, it's very possible that like 1 or 2 of these characters are going to stand out a hell of a lot more than everyone else. Or it's like Ella Bertinelli doesn't get much screen time, so maybe she's not but no, she's if not arguably better than most of them. Right?
And like Harley Quinn is such a big character, and she is taking up the largest portion of the movie, but it's not like an overwhelming majority of it, and everybody else in the cast really stands up with her. It is very for a movie that seemed like it was just going to be like one major character and a bunch of revolving supporting characters around them. No, this is really consistently strong across the board.
Because even Black Mask, we mentioned how much he is like this immature, bratty child on the inside, but he has moments where he's just incredibly charismatic. That's partly the actor that can play him. We all like have this like, oh, he's so good. Look at that winning smile, right?
We're in this period right
now. Kenobi series.
We're in this period right now where we're getting these like really charming actors playing these like really creepy villains. Like think about like Paul Bettany in the Han Solo movie.
Sure,
it's like, I don't like you, but I want you to keep showing up because I want to watch you. Yes, and it's like this weird conflict of, oh, I love this actor. I kind of wish they were playing somebody whose side I could be on, but look at you play this villain. Wow.
Yeah. So they end up killing Victor Zsasz, and shortly after they all kind of decide to team up. It's just the girls there now. It's Harley and Renee and Huntress and Black Canary and Cassie Kane. They're all like, well, right. So I guess back up one step. When Dinah tipped off Renee that this meet was happening, Victor Zsasz saw that and he tipped off Black Mask. And so Black Mask decided to come and he decided to go out to like Henchman Express and
like he
like
just
buy them all.
Everybody in his phone. Hey, meet me here. I'll bring a mask. You bring everything else.
Yeah. And so he has this like army to back him up, and they're slowly kind of surrounding and entering this amusement attraction. So the girls are all just like, well, I guess we gotta team up to survive. And then is like the big climactic fight scene within this amusement park, which again was just beautiful.
Yes,
it was great. I loved it. It's so much fun. I think the choreography was incredible, and they do a great job of focusing on everyone. Of like each character gets their time to shine, or their moment, or they're like, "Oh, that was sweet! Look what they just did!" You know. That's good. What did you think of this big
No,
fight scene?
I liked it a lot. I loved the rotating camera. I'm always a sucker for the the camera spinning around and looking at everything in a fight scene.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think one of my favorite bits in that fight scene is just the fact that Cassie Kane is helpless. Like she like everyone wants to get her. It's like it's not King of the Hill, because that's you tackle the person that's on the hill.
Capture the flag.
No, not capture the flag. I'm thinking of, it's one of those like stupid like football games. It's just like you tackle the person with the ball. Whoever has the ball, beat them up, you know? And that's kind of what that whole scene is with Cassie. Everyone wants to get her, but all of the quote unquote birds of prey are like pushing her and pulling her and be like, no, go over here, blah, blah, blah. And it makes this like really chaotic experience.
Yeah.
And it worked out so well, though.
Like, it's very clearly people who do not have a plan, like may or may not be that strategically minded. They just have like a handful of skills and a handful of tools, and they're going to try their best. Yeah. And I like that Cassie's ultimate triumph at the end is based on like her pickpocketing abilities. Like, she pulls the pin out of a grenade when like nobody's watching her. I like that they put
those are the only weapons she picks up. So in this like
oh, cool,
close quarters scene, she can't really use them because that would hurt everyone.
And I think that's like a delicate thing to try and do, is to have a character who you want to see like triumph, like kick his ass, yeah, but they have no reason to have any kind of fighting abilities.
Right.
So like that's perfect. Like, she gets to get the upper hand, she gets to save herself, but in like a way that is completely believable to the rest of her character as previously set up to now.
One of the things that I really like in comic book movies or TV shows or stuff like that is when there is a character who is a hero or a vigilante or, in her case, kind of a civilian that's mixed up in all of this, right? I like it when they have someone who just knows nothing about fighting. Yeah. And it's just like, well, like, they're just there. They just happen to be there.
And maybe they have one skill that is completely unrelated, but if they adapt it, if they MacGyver it enough times, they can get it into something approximating a combat skill.
Right, because it's like so many of the shows is just like, wait a minute, when did you learn to fight? How do you know Brazilian jiu-jitsu or something like that? It's like, this makes no sense, and you just kind of have to be like, all right, it's comics.
Yeah, I have a great appreciation for any time somebody is like value is placed on non-fighting skills. Yeah.
Show me something I can do, right? Yeah, like hold a grenade. That's it.
Oh, I could take the pin out of a grenade. Yes, we can all do this. As easy as opening a can of Dr. Pepper.
So yeah, that big fight scene happens, but Cassie still gets captured. Harley goes after them. That's when Canary uses her cry as like everyone is closing in. She uses her cry to knock everyone down and then kind of like boost Harley to go chase the car that they've captured Cassie in. And again, that was just a neat use of that power. Yeah. But then again, I was also like, she's not holding her ears. That would be very painful. Like that whole thing is like, it's such a high frequency that it is forceful and powerful and will hurt them and like hurt their ears and stuff. So I'm just like, all right, whatever, comic books.
Yeah.
So then there's a big chase scene that happened. I mean, I guess it's not a super big chase scene, but there is a big car that
it's big on style.
Oh yeah, still tons of style.
Like, Harley Quinn is like, she's on roller skates.
Yeah, she has that whole like roller derby thing.
Yep, she's just being pulled around behind a motorcycle on a rope on these roller skates. She does the entire final circus fight in roller skates, which is really admirable.
She didn't have that at the start, and they make note of that, where they're just like, when did she have time for a shoe change? So it's good. But that chase scene leads us to the docks, the pier or what have you. But at this point, it's just down to Black Mask, who is holding Cassie hostage, and Harley, who takes off her skates and chases them down the pier. And I thought that scene on the pier, that was gorgeous shot.
Yes.
Goodness gracious, that was awesome.
That was so pretty because it's Founders Pier. And so every 15 feet along both sides of this pier jutting out into the water, there's like a sculpture of some historical figure from like Gotham's past, and they're all in like different specific poses or like whatever job they were in or whatever their pastime was. Whatever you know that guy from, that's what the guy's doing in the statues. They're all different statues. It's not just like a bunch of men like holding, a spyglass or like looking regal. Like they're all different. Some of them are golfing or whatever.
Hey, my computer just spazzed out. Hold on a sec. We might have to redo a little bit here. Let's see. I'm going to... Okay. If you want to, it cut off like in the middle of you describing the statues.
Okay. So this pier, as it's shutting out into the water, like every 15 feet along the pier on both sides, there are these sculptures of Gotham City founders of some kind.
Right. Yeah.
And they're all in different poses and like holding different props. They're not the traditional like sculptures that you would see of historical figures among a town. They're like golfing or something. Like whoever the people are in these statues, like they were designed with a lot of personality. So there's just and they're all silhouettes. You can see no detail on them, whatever, because it's dark, like, and
foggy
it's foggy
and misty. And...
Yeah. So they're just these like they're goofy statues in the light, this, but here in the fog, like they look real menacing. That is a menacing golfer.
Yeah, like this is the kind of location and scene that I would really want in a Batman comic or movie or stuff like that, because it is the thing where you can barely see 5 feet in front of you.
Yes.
So to see this like giant bat-like thing come out would be terrifying. Like that is exactly, I think, what the whole idea of Batman is going for. Like, here's this dark, seedy town where it's foggy, and it like they have these piers so that the like mist from the water and stuff can start to come in town, and it just looks creepy. Right? It looks scary. So it's good. I enjoyed that scene a lot. And yeah, as you mentioned, it kind of comes down to Cassie Kane being like, "Hey, I took your ring," and they're just like, "Wait, what?" And she goes, "Yeah, this thing," and it's the like pin in the grenade, and he's just like, "Oh no!" And that's when Harley tosses him off the bridge, and then no more Black Mask. So that's all the notes that I wrote, but there is a little bit more to the movie. It kind of ends with a similar, well, it's not like a full-on Avengers shawarma scene.
No.
But everyone is out getting food. It's all of the birds of prey. Or I guess that's what I will refer to them as. They're talking, they're having fun, they're reflecting on all of that stuff, and Cassie still hasn't pooped out the diamond.
Yeah.
So they're like, hopefully these tacos will help out with that. But correct me if I'm wrong. So, when they kind of mention that, Cassie kind of sneaks out. It's like, I guess I can go try and use the bathroom now. And then Harley sneaks out after her as someone is well, I was going to say someone is stealing Dinah's car. It's that Harley and Cassie sneak out, steal Dinah's car, and then just go escape and do their own thing.
Yeah.
And that's when we get the montage, I guess, of being like, and that's when they formed the Birds of Prey. And they did their own thing, and I was not a member.
Which makes sense. Like, why would she be in an organization? This is not an organized woman.
Yeah. So, yeah. I had a lot of fun with this film. Did you stay to the very, very end of the credits?
Of course.
Yeah. If you guys did not, you're not missing out on much, but there is like a sound bite that was kind of fun. At the very end of the credits, we get some more narration from Harley that is like, "Are you morons still here? Like, well, I guess I can tell you a secret. Did you know that Batman and it stops. And that's it. So, I'm glad that I went to go see this, because I absolutely think this is the best film that DC has made so far.
I think it is definitely the most consistent. I still really have a soft spot for Shazam. Like, I think Shazam, for what it is like very well done.
They're both really good for their like respective purposes, if that makes sense. Like,
like you can
Shazam
see what
is
the
more
goal is.
Family kid for
but I
really has a couple scary moments.
Which is what I appreciate about it. Like, that's what I loved about Shazam, is that it was so, like, it's supposed to be this sort of like action adventure, like young adult coming of age movie, but the action and the adventure is scarier and more brutal than you were expecting. And all the emotional, like, family stuff with it is also way more heart-tugging than you were expecting. It's like they're hitting all of their goals, but it's like, oh, you went up to 11 on all of these. Like, you have very simple goals, but you were executing them like beyond what you really needed to do. Like, it's a really surprisingly beyond competent film. Yeah,
I liked this one a lot, and I think this gives me a little bit more hope than I already had for Wonder Woman. I'm excited for that one. Yeah. Because I think that one's going to knock it out of the park. That was kind of one that you could tell they were still in the transition of like, okay, maybe we give Patty Jenkins some more freedom. But then you could also tell at the end of that film, they were like, okay, let's kind of make it like the other Snyder films and go that way. That's why that third act in that film was like, okay, it's kind of disappointing. And it was also not as brightly colored as it could have been, because it was this like dark, dreary London.
I think that,
so.
I think its lack of vibrancy can be attributed to like the time, like the context in which it's made, like the film itself, like, oh, this is a World War I film. Of course it's going to be dreary. Like, it all makes sense. This isn't a movie that has come out to dazzle you the way these other movies have. But no, I agree. Like, Wonder Woman, I like it a lot, but it is more straightforward. Like, it's very well done, but there's not much about it that's really like surprising.
Right. Yeah. And so I think with that film, especially, like, Patty Jenkins has since proved herself, and I think audiences have also been like, hey, we want more stuff like this. We want more stuff like Birds of Prey, despite the weird naming and marketing and stuff like that. Like, the way you treated those characters in those films, in Shazam, all of that stuff. That was amazing. That was perfect.
Yeah,
More of
yes.
that. And then start to build up and go from there, which is not what DC started with. So
I like where they're at now. Like, it's wild to think that Harley Quinn and Shazam exist in the same universe. DC, what they're doing right now is like, I mean, post Justice League is like a lot more piecemeal and but I appreciate it. Like, I love Marvel. I love that. Like, that's part of the energy of what gets me so invested in Marvel is that, like, everything is connected and they've planned so much stuff out. And if they didn't plan it, like, they're smart enough to figure out how to, like, retcon some things to make it all look smooth. I kind of like that you can, like, see the seams with DC. Like, you can see them being like, well, let's work on this, like, one movie at a time. And then let's see what we can do with the next movie. Like, I like how kind of, it's a little slapdash, but it's interesting. Like, it's interesting to watch.
I don't even think they need like a Nick Fury type of character to kind of lace them all together. I think if they eventually want to do a Justice League 2, name it something else, who knows? Like, I don't think you need this through line. If they continue to make better movies with these characters that we end up caring about, we'll understand when they're just like, oh yeah, Amanda Waller came to me and asked me to be a part of this. And we'll just be like, all right, cool, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
like that's it. They don't need to do much more. Just keep making movies like this, because this was fantastic.
Yeah. And I admire the MCU for its consistency. I think that is like among its greatest strengths. But I do also like this DC thing where it's like everything is going to like really stand on its own and of its own like real developed feel, and none of the feels match each other movie to movie. And like, we're going to keep messing things around. Like, I'm really excited for this Robert Pattinson Batman movie, but like, I have no idea what it's going to have to do with anything else, but it doesn't need to. It doesn't have to.
Right. Or at least not yet, just make a good film first.
Yeah. And I like
that stuff can come.
And I like that they have let themselves relax on that. Like, yeah, we're not going to make them try and all fit together. We're going to make what we like. We'll draw, little connections where we can, but we're not going to make this the focus.
Yeah. When is that Wonder Woman film coming out?
It's this spring or early summer. And unfortunately, the Robert Pattinson Batman, that might just be called The Batman. I believe so. That's next year.
Wonder Woman is out June 4th.
Oh, okay.
When is... never mind.
Do we have another DC movie for later this year? Three movies in a year is kind of a lot. I'm just curious. I wouldn't expect them to have 3.
See.
I'm just curious if there's anything after Wonder Woman before we get to The Batman.
Don't think so. However, let's see, is there any news on this? So besides Birds of Prey, there was, I'm looking to see if it's still a thing. They were interested in making a Gotham City Sirens movie.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know if that got turned into this. Let's see, this is from 2016, so this is a while back. David Ayer, Margot Robbie reteamed for all-female DC villains movie, Gotham City Sirens. I don't know. Maybe someone in the comments can be like, yeah, if that one got canceled or it got shelved or who knows what.
Yeah. Maybe it's The Suicide Squad. I like that there's like, it's The Batman, The Suicide Squad.
Yeah, so we got Wonder Woman, and then, I don't know which one will be out first, if it's the new Suicide Squad.
Very excited for both of these. Like,
we'll see.
This is why I am going back and watching Suicide Squad. It's because I am excited for The Suicide Squad. And I know it's going to, like, play off of and defy the first one. So I'm like, I gotta know what that is, or I'm gonna miss all these jokes.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. That would be a good reason to watch that film. Because there's not many others to watch that film.
Watching a bad movie does nothing to hurt you. Watching a bad movie is never a waste of time because it's like a big crunchy thing for your brain to work on. You know, it's like the brain equivalent of like gum. Like it's just there to like, it's not, okay, gum isn't food. Gum isn't food, but it's exercise for your teeth.
There's no nutrients.
And it makes your teeth white, you know? This is what a subpar movie is for your brain. It's like, this may not have much of its own to offer, but this will exercise me. Will give me something to think about. It's like, okay, that doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? What else could happen instead? Is there anything about this I do like? Why did they succeed at this and not at something else? Look at all the openings for me to just make jokes.
That's fair. I tend to think of it differently in the sense that there are bad movies that are just bad. And it's like, you probably are gonna watch it and be like, I just wish I had those 2 hours back. And
I don't think I've ever done that in my life.
And then there's bad movies that is just like, oh my God, this is a delight because it's so bad, and it's so good because it's so bad. Like I just watched this movie last week called The Velocipaster. Go check it out. It's fantastic. And it's fantastic because it is so bad. It is so good, and it is hilarious. So there's stuff like that.
I think there's movies that legitimately make you laugh on accident, or they don't make you laugh, but they make you think, and that thinking is valuable. This exercises your brain, and you need that to keep sharp.
Good stuff.
Watch a subpar film. Get smart.
Melissa, where can the people find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at WilkyWit. That's WILKYWIT.
And I am at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter and Instagram. If you guys want to stay up to date with all of our podcasts, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. Go like, share, subscribe. Go follow us on YouTube. I think we're right below 60 subscribers. So if we can reach that and pass that, that would be fantastic. Help us out. Go subscribe on YouTube. I don't know what we're going to be covering next on here because it's always kind of hit or miss. I'm sure Black Widow will be coming down the road.
I think the next movie I'm personally going to see in a theater is Onward.
Oh, that would be a good one to do. So we need more like non-comic book stuff to talk about on here.
Oh, comic books is what gets me out there on opening weekend. Usually, but not always.
Same here. Good stuff. This has been episode 17 of the Reactor Core. We will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for checking out our podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below to tell us what you guys thought of Birds of Prey, or now Harley Quinn Birds of Prey. Who knows what it's called? It's a mess. In the meantime, go subscribe to our channel right up here in that corner. That would help us out a ton. And then right down here, go click on one of our other videos because we got a bunch more for you guys to check out. And we hope you enjoyed those ones too. Till then.